town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
Welcome back.
It is Christmas week.
Post
Christmas week. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Christmas was yesterday.
And when this airs, what? It'll be a couple weeks into January?
Next week, probably.
Okay.
Week after.
Yeah.
But we got a white Christmas.
I liked it.
Yeah, we got a nice little view out the window here.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people did? I mean, did you watch the weather? Did other states get snow too?
Oh, yeah. Iowa
Okay.
got smashed too, and, it came from Colorado.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Kansas got it. It was a huge system,
Oh,
coming
good.
across the
Okay.
24th, 25th.
Made its way across the state.
I mean, that's what I was telling the kids. I mean, sometimes that's what people just are wishing for, these little kids. Like,
Yeah.
Santa, bring this. Then you're real. Sure enough.
I don't know.
Was that a little dramatic?
Kind of.
I mean, think about it. When
Yeah.
you were a little kid,
Yeah, you wanted snow.
Yeah.
You wanted to be like your favorite cartoon or movie or whatever. Yeah.
exactly, and they got it.
No, I enjoy it. We had to do a little travel, so obviously that adds a little angst
Yeah.
and all this and that. But I don't know. It's like
And then
Ashley has some diagnosis for me where I'm not worried enough because I've wrecked a number of times. So like she says, you've wrecked and you didn't die and it didn't phase you, and now you're post like PSD, but opposite.
Like
Okay.
now you think you're invincible.
I guess, but I don't.
because I'm the opposite. I've gotten in like one wreck in our driveway, and I don't want to back out of it ever.
Yeah.
I made him back out my car today.
See, and that's how Ashley is.
I'm like just scared I'm going to plow my car again.
Yeah. I don't know. I can pinpoint it. There was one turning point that I can like vividly remember in my life. And
What?
It was when I got a little motorcycle, a little motorbike, and it was a Honda 90cc.
Nice.
Yeah. And Dad was like, "Hey, you want me to show you how to drive?" I'm like, "No, I'll figure it out. Don't worry. You go to work." So I kind of taught myself, which a lot of my buddies, they already knew how to drive theirs, And so I was teaching myself, and I had no freaking clue what 1 down, 4 up means or any of that. I had an
And your
idea.
dad just said, "Okay, go."
All right, okay. Well, I watched them and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching myself, and I finally get going, and I get it up to like second or third gear, and then they come up to a big old bend in the road, and I didn't know what the hell to do, and I just froze. So I just drove straight off the road and like into the trees.
You didn't even go with the road.
No, I just froze. Like I couldn't do anything. Like my arms just became stiff, and like I couldn't let off the gas. Nothing. So I wrecked. I wrecked big time. But ever since then, like whenever I get in the middle of the wreck, I'm kind of loose, and I can lay the bike down, or I can let off the throttle. And same with like in a car or whatever. I can just kind of go with the flow. But I had to like survive that first wreck. I believe if you can survive that first wreck, you're good to go. And I'm not saying I'm invincible by any means.
Yeah.
But
I've always told people on dirt bikes, because I've never been like a street motorcycle guy. I mean, I've never owned one, but have rode dirt bikes since I was a kid.
right.
And I've always said there's two kinds of riders, and I didn't coin this. This is what people told me. Ones who have crashed and ones who haven't.
Yeah.
You are going to crash.
Yeah.
Period.
I like that. Yeah.
And probably multiple times.
Yeah.
And you're
No,
gonna
I don't
learn
like that.
you're gonna learn a lot of stuff from it.
You are. And it's good to get that crash out of the way. So like I was like 15 minutes into self-taught motocrossing.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I don't know, 12, 11,
Oh,
something.
shit.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 10 or 11, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but then from then on, I mean, then I can remember a time where me and my buddies were really getting after it, when we were in high school, and we're going up and down this old quarry, and like I ramped up this hill, and I ramped so high I ran into these tree branches. So I'm like, I'm in midair, getting hit by a tree branch, and I know I got like it's up a pretty good hill, and I landed it just fine. But like, think of how crazy that is. Like I'm getting knocked over by
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I just feel like in a car it might be a little bit different though. It's not that I don't know. It's such a pain in the ass to take your car in. I feel absolutely horrible. I don't want to spend the money.
Oh no,
I just feel
yeah.
sick with the car. Like,
You
I
should
don't
still
know.
be smart about it. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't be traveling when it's sleety out or snowing and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
in cars anymore, everything's so expensive. The cars are
Yes.
expensive.
I'm just like, oh,
I mean,
Ben,
we hit-
please just do it.
It was like 3-4 months ago, we hit a deer,
Yeah.
and the Tahoe was in the shop for like
2 months?
2 months because they couldn't get
Ridiculous.
parts and stuff. Ended up with like an $8,000 bill, and it wasn't even that hard of a hit.
No.
I know.
You know, I mean, it's just how it goes.
It is.
And then something wasn't done right, so we had to take it back. I mean, it's always something. So it's just like,
Oh, and if your car's over 5 years old, pretty much anything you do to it, it's totaled.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to fix it.
yeah. So, anyways, it's so funny that she thinks that you're the opposite, and I'm the one that has like PTSD from one crash.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm like, if we're gonna wreck, we're gonna wreck. And there's a line in an old song I really like from Stone Temple Pilots, and it starts with and I feel so much depends on the weather, and like God, that just sticks with me. Like, God damn it, we make excuses for everything,
Yeah.
right? And the weather is just like this go-to. It's too hot. It's too cold. It could snow. It might snow. It's raining.
Yeah.
Like,
It's true.
God, I hate it. I don't even check the weather. I'm like, well, we're going home for Christmas or whatever. We'll figure it out.
I was gonna do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
That's why it's always the go-to conversation. Like, oh, what do you think about the weather? Or,
Yeah.
It's easy.
What's it supposed to be like tomorrow?
And in order to do anything or get anything done, it just has to be perfect. 72, partly cloudy.
but no wind.
No wind. Yeah, that too.
It doesn't happen around here.
Yeah, exactly. What do you got for us today, mister?
Well, it's as I said, it's the week of Christmas, and I wanted to go through some numbers on retail sales and also how everybody shops, because I think it's interesting. A lot of it's changed, and especially with the pandemic that we recently had and what that did to everything, whatever you want to call that thing. That changed up buying habits, and now we're out of that. We're well out of that. Everyone can kind of do what they want now, and things this year have been different for sure. And for us, so we're kind of at the front line of it with Farm Focused and Stock and Rod, and what we do online. So the e-commerce deal, what we're seeing coming in. Shipping prices, the scenarios around shipping in general, like all that kind of stuff. So I thought, man, let's talk about that a little bit. Like what habits are people using today?
Yeah.
And what have the results been this year?
And you got some really good experience in both kind of fields now. Because, right, I mean, you were with a corporation that, was huge brick and mortar in the auto industry for parts and stuff. And now you guys don't have a brick and mortar per se at all, do you? It's all online sales.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
For both companies.
Right.
Yeah, when I worked with that organization, it was, the majority of us was brick and mortar. It was auto parts. So you weren't really looking at like holiday sales, like gifts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's true.
But a lot of it was, on the spot. You need it. You're going to the store. You're getting it. Whatever. And there was a lot of pressure from online versions of that.
Yeah.
So that was, when I got out of that, that was 2014, 2015-ish. So it's been almost 10 years. And the online thing in that category was really ramping up. So there was a lot going on online. But then we came here, came back home, started the business, went fully online with all the merchandising that we're doing. And it's been good. It's been decent. Everything's kind of been growing every year, just steadily. Can
you share, like, are you comfortable or whatever, like 16%, 5% a year growth in sales, or
I would say
average?
With us as kind of a new startup, we were probably seeing like 15 to 20% growth every year.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range. And that's only that had only been because we went heavy online in like 17, 18, somewhere in that range.
I was going to say 18.
Your Facebook was really churning out content and stuff.
Yeah. So that's been the last 5 years-ish, And a huge part of that is what a lot of people don't realize when you're looking at sales numbers, if you're interested in them at all, is same. They call it like same store or same sales year over year. So if we were to look at, let's say right now, so if we were to look at 2023 over 2022, you can only look at the same stuff that you're selling this year that you were selling last year in terms of the brands, essentially. Like, so for us, we have all these different farm brands on our site and outdoor brands on our site. So this year, we've got probably 10 more on the site than we had last year.
Yeah. So it's a different type of growth.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So last year, those 10 didn't exist. So therefore, it's not really fair to compare
And
what those people did, what we did on the site with those brands than what we did on the site with the brands before. Not that it's not fair, but it's to get you a clear picture.
Yeah. And I was thinking more of just like actual farm-focused gear is kind of what I was thinking of.
Like a hoodie that we sold last year compared to like this year.
A farm focus.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily how your business model is set up, really.
Right. So when I look at what I would call like same store sales of everything that we had last year that we also have this year, and how are those comparing? And then everything we have this year that we didn't have last year that's adding to it, which it's real.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You're growing the business. And then taking that into account when you're looking at the whole picture, So as an example, like let's just say, and this wasn't the case, like let's say we were up 20% this year. Well, then you need to take into consideration how many more new brands did we add?
Right.
If you want to look at how did all of the other brands do, just in and of themselves.
Further. Yeah.
Like, did they do the same or better, or did they fall back? Are we only up because a bunch of new ones were added? So that's the whole deal with retail.
Yeah. And I would think some of your guys get real aggressive as far as seasonal gear and fun stuff, and other ones are more relaxed, and they're thinking, we're just an ag brand that does what we do.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I don't want to say solely based on what they do, but obviously we help do promotion and stuff like that, but it's what they want to do on their YouTube videos or what they want to do on their Instagram or whatever, and how they want to advertise it, is kind of where they're going to see their sales.
Advertising and marketing is so big.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Yeah.
Like we're the engine behind it. So we are making sure that when they tell somebody, you can go buy my stuff and here's where you buy it, that those folks get a good experience. So that's what we're doing on the back end. They're the ones like saying, hey, you need to go here to do this.
Yeah.
But what was interesting to me about this topic was, again, coming out of this pandemic deal and the surge that happened with online sales, and then what went on this year in retail for holiday sales. And a lot of what I was seeing personally, just anecdotally, was the brick and mortar stuff was coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was more and more people wanting to go to the store, as opposed to buying everything online.
Yep.
Which has been the trend for the
been
last
going up.
6-8 years at least.
Yep.
So I was curious to find out. I've got some numbers that we'll go through, but also to kind of talk to you out, because obviously Morgan and I did the same thing in our family. How did it work for you guys? Do you know, like, were you involved in the buying, or was it just the mom, like everyone else is?
Right. No, it's kind of funny. A lot of times it'll go the other way, where I'm in charge of most of the
Oh, really?
gift buying.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm kind of a throwback. I like going to the store. But I also, you don't want to go to the store without having a plan.
Yeah.
Because man, that cart fills up pretty fast when you don't have a plan or know what you're looking for.
Oh, for sure.
But no, I'd say over half of my shopping was done online this year.
Okay.
And I was looking for very specific things. Ashley and I, we don't like to just get gifts to get gifts. We like to follow these rules where they're practical. You're going to eat it, you're going to use it, whatever, and that they'll actually appreciate it and use it. So that really limits what you can do. So like going to the Nebraska Brewing Company and getting a couple growlers of beer that I know Jared will like, that I know Shane will drink, we'll do things like that. And like that, you can't buy that online.
Sure.
You can't buy craft beer brewed in Nebraska online as a gift.
Right.
So I think that stuff's really good. I also think there's a level where if I'm buying online, I still like to know them. I'd rather go to your guys' website and buy an ag-related T-shirt than over some clever, fun, snazzy ad, a funnel type ad. And I think that's why you're seeing, this is just my personal opinion. I have no idea. I don't have anything to back it up. I just know it happens to me. I'm fed up with slick, cool-looking funnel ads on Instagram,
Yeah.
on Twitter. Like, I'm just tired of them. And then when I do look into it, I try to figure out, well, where's this company from? It's like you can't figure it out. You know, it's a nice little white girl in a cornfield and this and that. That's the picture. But is that picture real?
Right.
And then if I want to, why can't I find out? Why can't I find out if that's in Indiana or Iowa? Why can't I find that out? You know, what are you hiding? And even if that company's not hiding it, why can't you just be transparent and let me know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great point. I mean, I think that's what has happened with a lot of folks is we're getting more and more, what's becoming more and more important is the story behind what we're buying. Like, where is it actually coming from?
Yeah.
Who made it? Who's benefiting from this purchase that I'm making?
Sure.
Where's the money going? You know,
All those things.
when I give this gift to somebody, is it just like, oh, hey, look at this like crazy shirt that has a saying on it? Or is it like, hey, I've got this whole story behind this.
Yeah.
You know, this is who this supports and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess I agree with that, but I also don't when I'm giving a gift to the kids and they specifically want something and they looked it up and they're like, this is what I want. Here's a link. Like, okay, I'm just going to click the link and I'm going to go get it. I know you want it. That's what you want to wear. I'm not going to just go try to hunt out something else that I think is better for the story when you told me that you wanted this.
I think the question is, though, why, and it would be interesting to have them here, why did you settle on that item? Like, why
I mean, some of it was just Amazon. It was like,
but
they found this.
That
and
might be
like,
where you bought it.
easy.
But what made them want that thing?
They just liked the look of it, and so then
Yeah, but you can keep digging into this. So they like the look of it because they saw it somewhere. And who was advertising it? What was the story behind? What was the effort behind when they saw it?
Yeah, maybe.
When they decided that's super cool, I need that. Like, was it one of their celebrity, you know, that they follow? Was it a sports figure that they love?
Yeah, it totally could be. Yeah, I don't know.
Like it had to have come from somewhere. So again, there is some story there. So where you bought it didn't necessarily have the story, but prior to that, there was a story that where it makes them, for some reason, they like it more. Like you talked about, like let's just say a pair of shoes. They like it more than just it's a pair of shoes. It's a pair of shoes that someone else was wearing or advertising or whatever.
Yeah, but I just don't believe that that's true because I know that I've seen those ads you don't like, which I appreciate because I don't love them either. Or I'm like,
Oh, some of them I like to look at.
one, I don't know that girl. Maybe it is cute on her, but I'm like, yeah, I like it. I don't need to know the story. I just want to get it. So I get it. Like, I don't need that. So, like, I agree with what you guys are saying, but I'm bringing another perspective. I'm literally telling you, people buy things that don't need a story, period. They just don't, because I do it. I know the girls do it. So.
But the story is real quick, and it's cool. It's snap, it's fast. I like it. I think it looks good.
Maybe,
right?
yeah, but it doesn't need to be that it's on a celebrity or there's a, you know what I mean? Like, it's just. But, I don't know. I'm thinking of something that I bought, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. I still don't have it.
I bet you don't just settle for like a certain lip balm. I bet you don't just buy cheap lip balm, right?
No, I mean, I don't.
You have a certain brand that you buy, and there's a huge why behind that, right? Wouldn't you think there's like years of compounded?
Maybe, but I literally am thinking of these overalls that I bought. They haven't come yet. I was like, dang, those are cute. I've seen them on a couple different ads, don't know a soul. And I'm like, I want those. And so I bought them. But I don't know there's no story there.
Well, but why do you want them?
Because they look cute and they look fuzzy and they look soft.
They look cute in the ad that you're seeing.
Yeah.
On the person that you're seeing.
But I also went to the reviews and saw more pictures. Right, but that's not a story.
Reviews are important.
But I'm just saying that's not a story. Like I don't think I have like a, oh my God. Like,
yeah, you're
I don't
supporting
have-
a cause or whatever.
Yeah,
right,
I
right.
don't. To me, that's not a story. To me, that's just like an instant buy. But I am
yeah.
an instant sometimes get this and then maybe like regret
Yeah.
it later. Where some people really need to think it fully through.
And I think Ben was going down another path there, and yeah, not everything needs a story.
Yeah.
But there's all my mind went down a different, like there's a story behind why you did it. There's a reasoning behind you did it. You know,
Maybe. Yeah.
No, there is. there really is, and you explained a lot of it right there. You saw me, thought her cute. You read a couple good reviews. There's nothing more to it, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
I guess when you guys say story, like to me, it made it sound like there needs to be some like
Well,
tug at your heartstring. Like I got to support this. Sometimes there's not. You
Well,
just buy shit to buy it.
No, that's not what we're saying.
Okay.
And I think,
Okay.
but Ben was shedding light on why brick and mortar is making a comeback, because you get to partake,
And the
because
experience.
the story does matter more
It's
now.
the
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I agree with that because this year I did a lot of online, like the kids do their Christmas
Yeah.
lists. And then I also did probably half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed going to the stores. I don't
Yeah.
love the hustle and bustle, but I do feel like it was pretty busy.
Yeah. It was.
And I can't say that I normally go shop around like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. What do the numbers say? Were more people back in the stores this year compared to last year? Or
I'm
is there
looking
any
at some-
data?
I'm looking at an article produced by NerdWallet. It's on Fundro website, and it was updated January 31st of 2023. So it's
Okay, so
it's
for
kind of
last
a,
year.
it's kind of a year
Yeah.
behind. But yeah, it looks like brick and mortar is hanging on pretty good. But your e-commerce accounts, they were up to 16% of all retail sales. Is the latest data that they have here. Is that about what you're looking at?
Yeah, so what I looked up a couple different things as well, and my inclination was that brick and mortar would have been up more than retail was this year.
Oh,
Or
really?
than online
Or
was this year.
Yeah.
And what I found online is that necessarily was not the case during the holiday season in particular. So coming from MasterCard's website, so they just took an analysis of everything that was being bought on their cards. In store was up 2.2% this year over last year, and online was up 6.3%. So online was growing more than in store, which was surprising to me. And then I went back and I started digging into our numbers because I was looking more at like a total year number.
Yeah.
And I was looking at our numbers on Farm Focused. And what I found, I just looked at Black Friday. So the day after Thanksgiving, what happened that day? And for us on our website, total sales dollars were up just over 9%, and total order count was up just over 14%.
Okay.
So
There you go.
on Black Friday and in this holiday season, that was certainly the case. Online was up. But what's interesting is the whole rest of the year, when you bring the whole year together,
Yeah.
and we're exclusively online,
Yeah.
was down dramatically.
Oh, so it lowers it because there isn't like a big rush the other times? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying that,
Like in general?
that the whole rest of the year, when people were buying things,
Just normally.
they bought less. And this is from our website. They bought less from our website this year than they bought from our website last year
Yeah.
as a whole year.
Oh,
but when you
okay.
got to the holiday season, people got motivated and they said, let's get online, let's
Yeah.
start ordering things.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. And looked like, and that's that number you said 6.2. From
Yep, that's right. Yep,
that,
online.
that's
Yep.
about what it does year to year, and this goes back to like 2007 as far
Okay.
as the growth of e-commerce. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that totals about it's over $600 billion online
Yeah,
spent in
that's a lot.
2019. But with that, that's once again that's only like 16% of total sales. So brick and mortar is still what the vast majority of people do when they're
They're
allowed to.
They're getting most of the volume. So that's another thing about data. Like you look at these percentages and you're like, okay, online's up this much and
Yeah.
brick and mortar's up this much. So online's kicking its ass, But when you look at the actual spend,
Yeah.
which I think is what you're saying,
Yeah.
the spend was still more
Yeah.
in person.
Yes. And so this is a stat that just kind of blows my mind, and I want to dig into it more, but it says by 2040, it's estimated that 95% of purchases will be facilitated by e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me in less than 20 years, we're going to, I mean, that's over 80% of sales will flip then? Like, I have a tough time buying that. I'm not saying I don't buy it, but,
Yeah.
especially if it's fluctuating from year to year right now.
Well, and we always say this, things come back around, like, right, malls and everything, no one's really there that much, but they just give it like 20, 30 years and they start flipping.
Yeah, and they want to get back to it or
You
whatever.
know, so like, is that coming back? I kind of feel like we've talked about that. Someone just locally bought this big mall that's not vacant, but, it's just like, is it going to be flipping again?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I do think brick and mortar is, I don't know. There's always going to be a place for it, period. Especially if you're talking about like perishables, right? Grocery stores, things of that nature. And then also with I think there's a little bit of an underground movement to buy local, support local. Mm-hmm. And if people get on board with that and support it, you're going to have marketers and suppliers playing along, so. Mm-hmm. I think what's going to end up happening, and that's another thing, how they worded that, facilitated by e-commerce. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean that you go to the store, but it's run through the website? You know what I mean?
I would think
like,
it means something along the lines
Oh.
of like you use your app to buy this,
Yeah,
and then
see?
maybe you pick it up in the parking lot.
So that's what I'm wondering, because that's just worded kind of odd to me. And there's like,
there's all these well, like a DoorDash or whatever. You used online to buy that thing,
right?
or whatever store, like any store anymore,
I guess.
has all these parking spots that are like, oh, you ordered online. This is where you park, so they bring it out to you.
Yes.
Yep.
So you're still technically going to the store to get it.
Yeah.
But it's been facilitated by that online purchase.
And so then that goes in the online category when they say it's bought
Right,
that way.
right.
And the in the DoorDash, a lot of people will do like, okay, we're all meeting at the park, or after the T-ball game, DoorDash will bring the boxes of juice and this and that and everything else. Well, I still had to go to the frickin' park and watch a baseball game, but then all the food was brought to us by DoorDash.
Yeah.
So that must be why it's
Do you
worded
not think,
like that.
though, during obviously the whole COVID and all that stuff, I mean, and people were so wound up and buying like crazy because everyone only could do it online, that people are just not sick of online, but kind of
burned out a little bit.
I just feel like they're kind of wanting to do something other than online.
I think people, they're coming back around and saying, whoa, what happened? What are we doing?
But also the economy is, right, I mean, I don't want to blame things on the economy, but it's not amazing.
We already blamed the weather. So.
Right. But right, I mean, it is.
I think personally, there's some nostalgia and a little bit of pushback from what we experienced the last couple of years with basically being forced
to do it,
to buy everything online.
Okay, that's
and
a
then
better
people
word.
are
Forced.
like, all right, I'm going back to the store.
Yeah,
Like, I
I wanna
miss that.
get out.
I want to look at things. I want to touch it. I want to look at the sizes. I want to try this out. I want to see it. And there is not for me, but for a lot of people, there is that whole like, hey, we're gonna go out and do this. Like there's like a shopping day.
Yeah.
Like the shopping day is fun.
Like a bunch of women like to go do that. That's what you're saying.
like
Maybe a bunch of dudes.
My sister-in-law, they do that. It's the mom and the aunts and now all the daughters. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to do that. And they're like, hey, let's go. We're going out and doing this again. This is a day. Like it's fun. We're gonna go out. We're gonna do all this. And we're gonna grab lunch at the mall or whatever it is, and they're doing their thing and they're having a good time.
And that's a healthy thing to do.
I would have a good time with it if we were going to like, the outdoor store.
Cabela's and then
we
Bass
were gonna go.
Pro.
We were gonna check out the gun shop or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that'd be fun, sure.
Like-
and then we go grab a burger and
Like
as long as it wasn't too busy is the problem for me. But
like the dudes, like let's do the dude trip, right? Okay, we're going to Sydney, Nebraska. We're gonna hit 2 microbreweries, and then we're out in Sydney, so we got to go to the first ever Cabela's ever, and then we'll go to our fishing trip.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about on this podcast time and time again about some of the folks that we work with that are revitalizing these brick and mortars. Mm-hmm. Like the Handlebend guys, as an example. Mm-hmm. You know, like that is a place to go and hang out and have a good time. You can buy some cool gifts if you want to. Grab a couple of drinks. There's probably some food there.
Yep.
You know, it's stuff like that.
You know, I just took somebody to downtown Plattsmouth and like, whoa, this is not how I remember downtown Plattsmouth.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? It is. It's a lot nicer and different. Like a facelift has happened. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs down there, like, or whatever you want to call them, business owners that have, you know, leased or bought those old buildings that line up and down Main Street. And now they're nice shops. I love that gun shop.
We've talked about that before on here.
You know, and that little restaurant, I think it's called Grandma's. You know, that's a great place to go eat.
Moms.
We have Moms.
Close. You got it close. I was like, wait, Grandma's? I don't know if I've heard of that.
It has good food.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it's been there for a while. It is good.
And that's the thing that a lot of people have to realize, you know, and that we kind of have to get back to, is that a lot of that stuff is important. Unfortunately, my feelings are that it's all starting to see kind of a resurgence, and then I think this is going to happen for a few years, and then it's going to get its ass kicked again, and then it's going to go online. And what that stat that you were quoting earlier about 80, 90%, whatever it is going to be online facilitated.
Yeah.
I think that is the case. That's what is going to happen.
You really do?
I think it's inevitable.
By 2040, 95% of purchases will be facilitated by e-commerce.
Because we just don't want people.
Well, it's easy too.
It's just too easy. Yeah, people take that easy path.
Think about when I go to let's say Pheasant Fest. Pheasants Forever, big thing, and I'm actually there. So I had to go to Omaha or Kansas City or Minneapolis to this big show. Most of those people, a lot of them in there, they have that square. So if I got to use my credit card because they're not taking cash, and that's an online purchase, even though I'm at the freaking show.
Yeah, I wonder how that would be categorized. I'm not sure.
That would have to be online,
you would
right?
think.
I think that's why it's worded like this.
Yeah.
You know, and and I mean, I went way more out of my way to be there, to be at that spot. Like, that's so much more of an investment than just getting online.
Yeah.
You know, and flipping through.
Yeah.
You know, on my cell phone. So I think there's a lot of things at play here. Here's another crazy stat I want to throw at you, Ben, and maybe you can break this down for me because I can't quite wrap my head around it. Since 2001, online sales have grown by 300%, while department store sales have dropped by 50%. So I'm coming to a place where where are these percentages? Like, you know,
right?
Like, okay, are we working on a model of 350%? You know, I get it, but
I would imagine, you know, something along the lines of, you know,
it's not a fair level playing field, is what I'm saying. Because like, how can you?
Yeah, and this is the game. This is the game that a lot of stats play.
Yeah,
you know, so late '90s, early 2000s is when that's starting. The majority of purchases are brick and mortar.
Yeah, by far.
So you're talking about probably like, I don't know, let's say like 90% of the purchases are brick and mortar. And that is a large number. So that's the thing, is that you have to look at like, what is that actual spend, not the percentage.
It's saying over 20 years it's tripled. So 300%, is that what we're saying?
Well, what I'm getting at is that, so you're dealing with that particular number in spend in, let's say, the year 2000. And then as you go through the 2000s and the online grows 300%, and the brick and mortar drops 50, or whatever the number is.
It was 50%.
Yeah.
Yep.
That initial number was still so big that the brick and mortar, even though it's dropped 50, is still higher.
Oh yeah.
Than what the online was, even though it grew 300, because the brick and mortar at that time would have been X number, which was a big number. And the online at that time would have been Y number, which was a really tiny number. It's easy. 300% on a really tiny number doesn't really mean a lot.
I gotcha. You're going to get there quicker.
That's what it was. It was only growing by like 5% overall sales a year. Yeah. But that's still 300%.
Yeah. So it gives people kind of this false perspective of what's actually going on.
Yeah. Well, it really does, because you go to 100%. Like, that's your starting point. So we're looking at, oh, wow, it's down half.
Yeah.
But not really.
And yeah, it's down half, but it's still a big number. A bigger number than the other one.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You know, when you start seeing those kinds of things. So I feel like that's where the numbers get, there's games played with them.
Yeah.
You know, from one way or another. But
I mean, outside of what we're doing here, do people really even look at these numbers that much.
Well, I mean, a lot of people probably don't. I mean, I definitely do because I'm obviously I'm curious with our business, and I'm super curious about like the trends, like what are people doing?
So I think here's a good one, and the latest they have, because a lot goes into this, right? During the 2019 holiday season, brick and mortar sales grew by 1.4%, while online grew by 8.1%.
Okay.
So that's just saying from where brick and mortar went up 1.4, but online went up 8.1, and that would have been after the whole COVID thing, right?
Yeah.
So even
what
at
was the year?
2019.
No, that was before.
That was 2020.
Before,
so that would have been
yeah.
1 year. That would have been 1 year before.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, boy, when that updated one comes out, it's not going to be grew by 1.4%.
Yeah. And also, again, like with any data, and this doesn't. I mean, people need to take this into account when they're looking at anything. When someone's talking about anything on the news or online or whatever. When it says brick and mortar went up 1.4% or whatever it was that year, you have to dig into the data. Did it take into account what inflation was that year? So, like as an example, we go back to our business. In 2018, maybe a T-shirt sold for $20, and in 2019, maybe a T-shirt sold for $22.
Yeah.
So even if you sold the exact same amount of T-shirts, you were up in sales. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So there's a lot of
That's true.
things that you need to consider.
You got to average it out there.
Yeah, when you're looking at these numbers.
Yeah.
And that's when I go back to what I was talking about earlier, like same store sales, same number sales, year over year.
Yeah.
Taking out price increases, taking out additional offerings, taking out new stores, those kinds of things. You got to look at all that data that way.
So we kind of established that we think brick and mortar is always going to have a place.
Yeah.
And I always think for like you, Ben, you talk about the grocery store. It's like a farmer's market. That's an event. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Where I think those will always be around, and it's a healthy thing to have in your community. This stat, I want to get your take on it. 70% of fashion purchases are made offline. So like your bibs that you thought were cute and this and that, you're in a minority there.
I don't love
online.
to buy clothes online because you just never know if it's going to fit, which I would agree with. That's why I was looking at reviews and people being like, oh, this is true to size. I'm this height. I'm this weight. A lot of women's reviews will say that.
Yeah.
And it's super helpful to be like, that's me. Okay, I fit that small. I fit that medium. But otherwise, it's just a pain in the butt to send something back.
Yeah.
So I would agree with that. To go to the store, try it on.
Even when I was in middle school and high school, East Bay, those catalogs. My mom she wouldn't let us buy sneakers or shoes out of there because you got to be there to try them on. And, and save the step of sending them back and this and that.
It is true. It's like I bought Joel a jacket and I'm like, oh, should I get this shit on? No, it's totally gonna fit. And I'm like, sure enough, it doesn't fit. I'm gonna have to take it back. It's so annoying.
Happens every time.
Yeah, it does. And same with shoes. To your point.
Yep. So that makes sense, and I think that's something that people, they got to have that. Or if you're going to start a business now and it's going to be an online business because you've done this research and you're like, oh, by 2040 it's going to be 95% of sales. Well, not if you're trying to make really pretty prom dresses or something like that.
Right.
You got to know your market. You basically have to be a brick and mortar if you're going to get into the fashion industry is how I read that.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I agree. Yeah. I think that's totally true. And for our business, we're involved in not fashion but apparel,
right? Branded apparel,
and I would say for us, it's going to be somewhere around it's less than 2%. In the ones, somewhere in the 1 point whatever, that we get returned or exchanged because of sizing.
That's pretty good. I also think you're in a space where I'm making that purchase to support the millennial farmer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the big portion or a big thing that goes into that is I'm buying the T-shirt there to support this channel or this guy or what he's doing. It's the fashion and that's the color that's in this year. That takes a back seat to maybe some other drivers behind a lot of purchases on your guys' website, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not fashion type stuff. It's
Yeah.
your standard
T-shirt,
sweatshirts
hoodie.
and t-shirts
Yeah.
and hats and those
Highest
kinds of
quality
things.
though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Very
It's not
nice.
Very, very nice.
cheap
very nice.
crap, but
Very nice.
very nice.
But yeah, man,
It is interesting.
Yeah, those numbers. They're
I'm
very
not a
interesting.
numbers person, as many people know if they've been listening.
I'm
long
really
enough.
not either. I don't like spending a lot
No,
of time
I
in
wouldn't
it.
say you either, but I mean, you know way more about this than I do. So,
But I just like understanding it and looking at the trends and trying to figure out like what might we do next year or how did this year go or whatever.
Yeah.
And also like just what are people doing? Like because I'm always looking to the future like what's the next move?
Right.
Because for our business, like maybe we do go into a brick and mortar at some point. So what's happening?
Yeah.
Are people spending the money with the brick and mortars? Does it make sense? Like how much money should we be, if we do that, how much money should we be paying for rent and so on and so forth
Yep.
to be able to outrun this thing?
Yeah.
You know, is it a real proposition? Is
Yeah.
are we
Yeah.
just pissing in the wind? Are we just, fooling ourselves that something's
Yeah.
going to be neat? Like what are people actually doing? And the trends of humans it's very interesting to me, especially around the holiday season, because people they're doing what they're feeling.
Yeah. Oh
And-
yeah.
And coming out of the whole COVID BS, like we saw a massive increase in online orders. And if you think back on it, hindsight's 2020. Of course we did.
Yeah.
No one was allowed to go anywhere.
yeah, they couldn't do
They were
anything.
forced to just stay on their phones and scroll.
Yeah, what else were you gonna do?
Yep.
So they were ordering stuff online like crazy, and now, as expected, people are like, okay, fine. They're taking a breath, and they're like, let's get outside.
Yeah.
Let's go do some stuff. Let's go buy some things.
And I'm here for it too. Like go
Yeah, for
support
sure.
support
Yep.
your local farmers market, whatever. You
Yep.
know, downtown. If this is a town of what 7,000-8,000 people. Support it.
Yeah.
It's your community.
Yeah, and I think people in general, no matter what, no matter where you come from, no matter where you live, are going to have that desire to get out and do some things.
Yep.
But I also think that these small towns where you have these mom and pop owned stores are the ones that are going to see. I think they are going to last the longest. So when we get to that 2040 or whatever that number was that you were
Yeah,
talking about,
2040.
Yeah.
Yep. When they were saying X amount is going to be all online, it's a massive amount. I think at that time, that is going to be when the small town mom and pops are going to still be doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the big town stores are probably going to be suffering.
yeah. And no one feels bad for Target
yeah.
or Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
And it's one of those deals you kind of made your own bed. But even on a more of a, I guess, micro level, just what we went through there, if you guys are going to come out with a new piece of clothing this upcoming year, you'd want to gear it more towards functionality than you would a trendy or fashionable thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just seeing
Yeah.
that 73%, or whatever it was, over 70% of people, that don't buy fashionable items, they'd rather do that at a brick and mortar. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something to think about,
Yeah. I guess numbers and
to
hearing
that
all this
point-
is good. Yeah.
We definitely have some stuff coming pretty soon.
All
So
right.
people keep listening.
There we go.
We've been working on some glove deals that you've been involved in, functional stuff
I'm excited for that.
that's going to be coming to the site.
Yep.
And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, not necessarily like we were saying earlier, the story. It's not necessarily like there's this, good, feel good story behind it. It's that I trust these people. They have used these things and they're telling me that this works.
yeah.
So therefore, that's what I'm going to buy.
And I'm going to put them through the ringer because I got a lot of fence fixing to do come springtime. And so we'll know all about these gloves firsthand.
Yep. Just items like that. So yeah, you're right on. I mean, that's definitely the way things are moving. So
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. You said, hey, we're kicking around topics, so I kind of looked up a couple different things here, and just these stats overall, just flipping through it, putting an hour's worth of time into it, gives you a really good idea
yeah,
of how you want to gear, moving forward.
sure.
Yeah, things go up and down, right? And in the end, I do think it's just the way it has to be. Online. Has to
Yep.
be online.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Everything's going online.
Well, it ain't going away. That's a fact. So
It's definitely not going away. It's just like you said, it's too convenient, it's too easy. Everything goes back to convenience. We talked about this a million times too.
yep.
So
And
easy.
and the good companies are going to make it even easier as far as the decision. You know, like going online and buying something is easy, but the decision to actually click on buy and enter in your credit card number, the good companies are going to make that decision even easier because they're going to have already showed you why this stuff is great.
That's true.
And that's the way it's going to work.
You know what I noticed?
But I do love the brick and mortar thing, and I'm super interested in it, and someday doing something like that with our company because you cannot beat that atmosphere.
No.
When when they come walking in and you've got that whole atmosphere, it's the brand, it's what everything you stand for, and people feel like they're at home and just enjoy shopping there. You can't beat that.
Yeah, like there's some. Go back to that gun shop. You walk into that place and you smell the gunpowder. You're like, I like this place.
Yep.
or there's a couple of like different clothing stores. You can smell that leather. You know, you just love it. You know?
Yeah, it's great. Totally agree.
Were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just going to say when I noticed the other day on Amazon, if you are purchasing and it's kind of maybe from somebody instead of like a big company, it says small business. Like you can so I don't know if that's a new setting where then I was like,
Might be.
I would rather have that air mattress from that person that says small business than this one who doesn't look like it's just, I don't know. It was interesting to me to see that. So I wondered if that's like a new thing where I think you were saying that businesses now can be on Amazon. Like, you know what I mean? Smaller businesses. It doesn't just have to be like this big facility or whatever.
Small businesses really are the backbone of so many things.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether it's Amazon, Google, whatever, they all kind of rely on small businesses across the nation to get things done.
Right.
So it makes sense that they're figuring out ways to support these small businesses that basically prop them up and keep them running in a way.
Right.
In a way,
yeah.
You know?
I mean, and again, who knows? How do you fit into that category? Someone could be fooling them and fooling me and pulling one over my eyes, but you know, whatever.
What's small anymore?
Exactly. That's why I was like,
Sure.
after I said that, maybe you never know, but it was interesting.
Because we're drinking Coors, and that's really small compared to
It is.
Anheuser-Busch.
Right.
And Sam Adams is really small compared to Coors. And Nebraska Brewing Company is really small compared to Sam Adams. They don't even compare those four companies.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, it's pretty wild.
Yep.
True. Yeah.
I think all of this wrapped up for me. My closing feelings on all of it is that definitely this holiday season, online stuff was up, and this is from our own data that we're experiencing, and also what I'm seeing out there. People bought a lot of stuff online this holiday season, but in general, the feeling over 2023 is that people are trying to get back to more people-to-people type transactions, where they're trying to get into stores, they're trying to see things, they're trying to get their hands on them, and I think that trend's going to continue for the next couple of years.
And maybe not the story, but just the subconscious feel good. Like you went and talked to the business owner, you kind of you feel good about where your money's going, and you kind of feel good. I think people are waking up to, let's not buy stuff to have stuff. Let's buy gifts to give gifts that people can use and want and will enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would agree.
I think there's a level of that maybe came back into focus after COVID.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. 100%.
I don't even like saying
I know.
that,
I like how you say it. I don't really like saying it either, but what else are you going to say?
Yeah.
The 19? I guess you could just call it that.
Yeah. So the last thing here, we don't talk about it enough because we don't promote enough. We need to get folks on the reviews. So if you're listening through Apple, get on there, do the 5 stars, do a review.
It takes 2 seconds.
Super easy.
It's so quick.
And then
Subscribe.
furthermore, if you do it, shoot us an email.
Yeah.
ben@farmfocused.com, and we'll send you free Comic Folk gear. So just get on, do that. We've done it a ton of times. We will continue to do it. On Spotify, do the stars. Those are important. We're on YouTube.
YouTube music's really taken off.
Yep.
Like I've been impressed with those numbers.
Okay.
You know, and I've been releasing like previous ones, older ones, kind of at random, just you know, tinkering around with it because we're just learning, you know, as we go.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think it's a neat reminder that hey, we've been at this for about a year now, and there's some good stuff back there. Like some of those interviews, like I catch myself like just going back to it and then I'll listen to the whole darn thing.
There's some great,
Yeah,
there's some great stuff in the archive. And
Yeah.
on YouTube, you can listen there, you can comment, you can watch some of the videos that we're putting up, see where we're coming from, this small little studio out here down in nowhere, Nebraska.
Town you never heard of.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. So check it out. We appreciate everybody. Anything else? You guys got anything?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
It is. It's Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
And Happy New Year.
and Happy New Year. All right.
All
so
right.
let's close it
All
out.
right. Peace.
Later.
We'll see ya.